Good evening and welcome. My name is Michelle Detrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up. Now, last Friday I played with Sentimental Christmas and I made some Christmas tags because I was going to an event on this weekend, which was a lot of fun with other demonstrators in Canberra, and I used those tags as a giveaway there in some swaps. So that was a lot of fun, and thank you very much for joining me on that Friday in making them. So this time I'm going to make a card, again using the Sentimental Christmas. This time we're not going to use the designer series paper. I'm just predominantly going to be using the stamps and a few other bits and pieces, and also the dies that go with this to create this card. Excuse me. Now, this card was inspired by a card that I saw on Pinterest by Rochelle Laird Smith. A beautiful card, and I thought, oh, I really like that, and I love the colorways that she used. So that's my inspiration. And the layout is going to be a little bit similar, but she did hers as a landscape, and I'm doing mine as a portrait. So let's get started. So what I'm going to need first off for this card is some basic white cardstock, and I've got a piece here, and I'm going to stamp this stocking image, and I'm stamping this with the Memento Black. As you would know if you watch me, I've taken a plain white craft stamp pad that when you purchase it has no ink on it, and I've added onto this my refill from my Memento ink because I feel I get a much better coverage. Now, I don't want to stamp down too hard doing this because I just do want a very light stamping of this particular image, and I am just going to do a couple of these because I do need to do a few more of these particular cards later on. So if I'm going to stamp all these up now, I'm going to do that now. So, whoops, that one's probably a little bit, let me just try that again. I just don't want too much ink on that. There we go. So there's 3 beautiful stockings. So we're just going to colour one of these. Good evening, Joan. Good evening, Deborah. Thank you very much for joining me. So I've got a whole stack of blends here with me, and I'm going to colour these, and I'm going to start off with using the boho in my light and my dark, and I also have, I think that's the light there in Misty Moonlight. So I've got my boho in light, got my boho in dark, and I've got a Misty Moonlight in dark. Now, I like to start with my lights first, so I'm going to grab my light boho, and I'm going to colour the base of my stocking with that. So I'm just going to colour this and chat at the same time. So I'm just doing like a tick type flick into the middle of that stocking, just making sure and trying not to go outside the lines, and I'm just going to leave the toe of that stocking in white, and then I'm going to flick this again up the other side, and again I'm just going to go around that heel because I just want to leave that in white. Now, I'm not flicking this all the way into the center because I want to keep a white portion in the middle, just like that. And I'm going to just take a little bit of that color along the top there. So there's my light. Now I'm going to grab my dark one, and I'm going to do another flicking motion again, and I'm not taking it as far in this time. All I'm doing is just taking it a little bit in, and then again up the other side as well. Just doing a tiny little flick type motion, just like a tick. When you're ticking something, you don't need to put much weight on this at all. And now I'm going to grab my dark, and I'm just actually going to use the finer tip on this because I just want this to add a bit of that shading in around the areas where Stampin' Up have made some marks to show where the shading is. So I'm just wanting to add a little bit of those darker colours just there and in these areas here where the shading is on that. And now I'm just going to come in again with my light in the boho blue, and I am just going right across and just blending those colours out. And what that will do once that starts to dry is blend those areas out a little bit. Now I can come back in if I want to and just add a little bit more of that darker boho. Just in like that. I'm just going to just add a little bit more definition. So that's what I'm going to do with my blue. Now this is my example one I did the other day, and this one here has come up a lot lighter than that one. So I've done, sort of started off a lot lighter there, but this one I'm making it a lot brighter because I want it to stand out a little bit, but I still want that lightness in the middle. So that's the one I'm using as my example, so I know what I'm doing. And I've got my light smoky slate. Now all I want to do with this, and I'm using the fine bullet tip end here, is just put a little bit of shading on the stocking, on the toe, and on the heel. And then I'm going to again go around the top of the stocking, just all the way around the outside edges, just dotting this smoky slate all the way around. And it's just to give it a little bit more of a definition to the fact that that's a lighter colour. Now you can come in if you're a bit concerned that you have gone a little bit darker than you want to around those edges. And if you want to lighten it a bit, this is the colour lifter. And you can just sort of, just a little bit, just to soften those edges around that smoky slate a little bit. And that'll just sort of blend that out. What the colour lifter does, it pushes colour away. So if you've got an area, say for example, if I take this colour here, which is the light misty moonlight, and just colour a section in here. If I come in with my colour lifter and draw a line, what it does is it pushes the ink further away. So it actually just lightens that area where you've put the colour lifter. So all I've done is just gone around those areas there just to lighten and soften those edges a little bit. And you can actually do that on here as well. And it just pushes that colour back in on itself and just softens those edges. Okay, so that's that done. So I've finished with all of those. So let's continue on with our packaging. So what I have got here, I have got just pulled out a whole stack of colours. I've got my Daffodil Delight. Now, did I grab, I think I actually want the lighter one. Bear with me 1 second because I want not the Daffodil Delight, but the Lemon Lolly, because I just really want to keep this quite pastel in colours. So I'm going to use my bullet tip for this because these areas are here quite small and fine. And all I want to do is just colour in these areas. I'm not worrying too much about blending here because they are so small. And then I'm just going to use the darker shade just to give that bit of darker shading underneath that bow and where Stamping Up again have given us that highlighted area. And then I'm going to take the, this is wild wheat, and I love the wild wheat because it is very like a gold type toning. And I've got the light one here, and I'm just going to colour the ribbon and the bow on that. Add a couple little highlights. Just there. Now, did I grab? Left a couple of colours out. Okay, I need my real red. I just want that in the light. So I can do these candy canes. It's just using just a little line of colour. It's not much. It doesn't take much to colour those. The next colour I want to use is the light bubble bath and the dark bubble bath. Again, just colouring this gift here in the light, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading there in the dark. Now that one is a little bit bigger, so I might just come back in and just blend that out a little bit more. And I want then the light granny apple green. And do our ribbon on that in our granny apple green. Just add a couple little highlights in the darker one. Just like so. We're getting through this. Okay. So I want petal pink. This is my dark petal pink, and I've got my light one here. And I might do this gift here. And then I'm going to do this is Melon Mambo, and I've grabbed the dark one. I probably could have used the lighter one, but that's okay. A little bit dark, but that's okay. It's not much of it. And we just have one more, and I might use, since we've got that Melon Mambo, and we might go to, this is the Fresh Freesia. Yeah, I might use that one. It's a little bit close in colour with the other one, but that's okay. Just hold that up. Hi Lee, how are you? Just so you can see what I'm up to there. Now we're going to need to do that ribbon on that, and I might do that in, this one I might do in the daffodil, but I'm going to use the dark daffodil for this one. And it's got some really nice little curly ribbon bits there. I just feel this one here, these three presents here are a little bit too alike in some ways, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to, what colour is that one? That's pretty pink. That's another pink. I might just leave it. If I start trying to change things, I'll make a mess. Okay, so now I've got here Lost Lagoon, and I'm going to start with the light one, and I'm just going to add some lines here. That's all I'm doing, is I'm just drawing lines along those same lines that are in this, and I'm doing it in the Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to go over the top and add a few lines, but not as many, in the Pretty Peacock. So I'll just do a few darker ones in there as well, just to really just to add a few little highlights. And then that's what we're going to do with the Pretty Peacock as well, but I'm going to just use the light one and not the dark. So it's just adding a little bit more brightness to it, but not much. Okay, so there we go. There's our image all coloured in, and it's quite quick. Now, if you feel that this area here is a little bit dark, you can always come back in and just very lightly add a little bit of colour lifter, but I actually quite like that. I'm quite happy with that. So that will settle down once that also starts drying a bit. So I'm just going to move all of this out of the road. Pop that to one side too. And then I'm going to cut this out. So I need to grab the dies that go with this, which is in here. Or maybe I've already got it out. I think I have. See, I'm organised tonight of sorts. Just pop that over there. Okay. So I'm just going to add a bit of tape to that just to hold it all together. Just so then that doesn't move. And I'm going to bring in my big cut and emboss, because we're also going to do some embossing with this as well. So got the big one out. Just pop that to one side for a moment, because we'll need it again in a minute. So I'll pop that over to one side. And there's our lovely little image there. Okay, so we've done that. Now the other thing I need to do, why I have got this out, is actually I need that, but I also need, I'll use a scrap here, because what I want to do is I'm going to cut. Now these two pieces here come from it's from the Changing Leaves dies. So it's just two little extra dies that they have. This is the one that's in the online exclusives. It also comes with an embossing folder and the dies to cut out. It's a hybrid one with the embossing folder. So I'm going to pop that just to one side for the moment, but I just want to cut out some bits out of this in white. So let's bring in this cut and emboss again. And we're going to run this through a couple of times because I want to cut out a few of these. Just line them up on my plate. So I hope you all had a lovely day. Weather has been beautiful here. For the first time I feel like I can pull out my, whoops, I lost one of those dies, it's still there. Pull out my summer clothes and wear them. It was beautiful and warm in Canberra on the weekend. And it was really good because I had a stamping up thing on Sunday, and I was also able, my husband and I were able to help our son who is moved on the weekend. So while I was busy having fun doing stamping up stuff, Joe was having fun helping him and some of his friends move what was left of his furniture and garden and everything to the new rental. Oh, it just keeps moving. Normally I would do this on my mini machine, but because I need this out to do some, to use an embossing folder, I just decided that I would just use the big one. So let's just, whoops, flip that over and cut out a couple more. And we just need to cut a few more. So what did everybody else get up to on the weekend? Anything fun, exciting? Did you do some crafting? Okay. I'll take those out in a moment. Let's get rid of this piece. And now what I do want to do is I've got a piece here. I've already cut one of these down. Maybe I need, let me have a look. No, I need to cut another one using this die here, and this die is from this is one of the deckled rectangle dies. Now, unfortunately, I've got it in a position where you can't see it very well, but all I'm just going to do is just pop that into that corner there. Pop this down on top and run that through. So this is going to be the top layer of my card. And I will show you all the other bits and pieces and all the measurements in a moment. So that's that piece there. Still recovering from a nasty virus. That's no good, Deborah. And the other thing I want to do with that piece while I've got it is I'm going to run it through with the distressed Tile 3D embossing folder. So we can get rid of a couple of these pieces here. Actually, I think all of those. I'm going to pop this inside here. This is probably one of my favourite embossing folder. I just want to give this piece some texture, and we need plate 4. Let's see how we go and run that through. And that is all our cutting and our embossing. So let's just move that down there and take all of these pieces, pop them away so they're ready for next time. I sort of had a little bit of a clean up in here because the time I got back to my craft desk today, I could hardly see what I had on it. Okay, so that gives us that beautiful texture, and with that deckled edge around the edge of it, it's given that little bit of a rustic type of look to it. So that's that 3D embossing folder. So that's the distressed tile embossing folder, and as I said, it is probably my favourite. So there's some of our little bits and pieces. Let me just pop these out. Pop those dies there. I've still yet to work out I know what sentiment we're going to use, and we're going to stamp that on white. So I still have to work out what size, but there we are. So we've got some little bit of fillers there. We're going to colour those. So what I thought we'd colour them with, and let me just grab a blending brush. And I'm going to colour them with a little bit of probably Lost Lagoon for these leaf pieces here. So I am going to need some scrap paper. This will do. It's not scrap, but it will do. So let's just grab a little bit of ink from there. And as I said before, when I use these brushes, what I like to do is hold the handle and hold the head of the brush so I've got control. And what I'm going to do is actually just colour around the edges of these. So I don't want too much colour. I just want to take the whiteness off it. And I'll show you one of these. You can see that all I've done, let me just see if that can go into focus. I don't know whether it will or not. I'll show it to you on the white paper in a moment. But all I'm wanting to do is just bring some of that Lost Lagoon colour into the edges of those. They're quite delicate, so you may need just to hold them down with your finger a little bit. As you brush that colour around. One more of that one. Whoops, probably did a little bit too much colour on that one. I was tapping it off before, but I didn't, so that's okay. It'll still work. So let me just show you those on the white paper. So you can see that they're just very lightly coloured, those pieces. Yeah, you'll probably see it once I pop it onto the card and start building up the card a little bit. Okay, so now these other little pieces here, I want to sponge these using the Pretty Peacock. Now I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm going to a darker colour. So, and I wash my brushes after each use, just for the fact that I don't have a different brush for every one. So this one here, we're just going to do the same sort of thing, but I just want a little bit of the darker colour on them. But again, not too much, just adding some darkness to that. Okay, so there's those done. So I'll pop that brush to one side so I can go and wash that. Get rid of that scratch paper. So there we go. So we've got all those leaves. We've got our coloured stocking. Don't need those anymore. We've got our piece here that this is all going to sit on. And now let's have a look. So I've got a card base here, and I've got my card base also in basic white, and I've cut this at 10.5 by 29.9, which is half a sheet of A4 cardstock. If you are working in Imperial with the letter size cardstock, then again, you would just cut that at 4.25 by 11, and you would score it at 5.5 to give you your 10th fold card. Now I've just got a bit of ink on my fingernail. I'm just going to wipe that off of my pants. Pop that die over there so I don't lose it. I've also got a piece of the Designer Series paper. Now this is from the last year's in colour. So it's a 2023 to 2025 in colour 6x6 Designer Series paper that we have in our catalogue, and I'm just using the striped one here. And what I thought I could do, and I may need to just grab another piece of basic white and cut that, because I think I've used a bit more than I was expecting to use. And I'm thinking of putting, sorry, I was questioning, that's what I was doing earlier today. I was questioning which one of these card bases. I've got a basic white, but I've also got the boho blue, because I thought the boho blue could look quite nice on this. And then having that underneath. So I'm going to cut this piece here down. So I've got this piece of basic white, and I've cut it at 10 by 14.4. And I think I might pop that on the boho. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I think I will use it on the boho. I mean, it's a Christmas card, but it's not using the traditional sort of Christmas colours in reds and whites. I think if I do that on the other option would be to do a blue matte on the white. So it's whether we go a white card base and do the boho blue matte with the stripe on top, or we go the boho blue card base. And I think I like the boho blue card base. I like the white popping that stripe out, I think. Okay, so I'm going to cut this piece down to 3 millimeters narrower or smaller than this one. So it's going to come down to 9.7 by 14.1. So let me just grab this. So 9.7 by 14.1. Now, while I've got this out, I'm going to use this piece here. I'm going to cut this in half at 5 and at 14.9, just so I can get 2 pieces. And I'm going to cut this piece down for our card insert. So I'm going to cut this down to 14.4 by 10. So that's our card insert, which is going to go on the inside of our card. So that's the same size as this piece I'm going to use as my mat. Let me just check. There's my card base. So this piece here and these 2 pieces are the same size. So one's going to go as my mat in there and one is going to go on the inside of my card. And I just want a little bit of that stripe to trim it. And I've got a little piece here I trimmed off, and I'm going to cut this to about 1.5 centimeters. And I'm going to trim this down to 14.4. I'll be sad when this goes next year. I love boho blue. It is just such a beautiful colour. Okay, so let's start putting this card together. So we might start with our insert piece, since we've got that here. And I've got my glue. So I'm just going to run a thin layer of glue on there. Making sure that's all lined up. And then that can go on the inside. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut a few extra of those leaves and pop an extra leaf in there. You could pop a sentiment on the inside of this. But I'm actually going to leave this just like that. So there's the inside. Now just let me grab a bone folder and just really give this as a good burnish here. And I'm just going to use that just to give that a good rub down the back, just to make sure that that glue has well and truly adhered. So we'll pop that one to one side. And let's grab our panel for the front. Now what we can do, and what Rochelle had done, is she had actually given all her edges a little bit of a roughing up. So we might just do it lightly. I don't want to do it too much. I'm just using my scissors and just running the edge of my scissors down along my paper there, just to give that a little bit of a roughed up look. A little bit extra texture. The other thing that you could do too is go around it with a bit of boho ink and ink the edges if you wanted to. And I'm going to do the same with this white. Just go around those edges just lightly. As I said, I'm just using Rochelle's card as an inspiration. So I'm not trying to copy hers identically, but I'm just taking certain elements of hers and adding it. So I really thought her card was so beautiful. So I'm going to pop that on there, but I'm sort of thinking that's going to go there like that, but I might just give this a bit of a curl on this corner just to add that. A little bit of rough texture to it again. Just really breaking up those fibres a little bit. Don't want to curl it too much, but I do want to just add a little bit of extra on that. And again, just glue that down onto my mat. Using your multi-purpose glue, you get that little bit of time to slip that into place where you want it to be. Okay, now I'm going to glue this directly down. I'm not going to put any dimensionals or anything underneath this because I am going to pop dimensionals underneath my stocking. Okay, so that's going to go on there. Again, just give that a good rub just to make sure that glue has spread out. Okay, so let's grab this piece here. Now, I said I haven't done my sentiment as yet, so let's have a look. So I thought I might stamp my sentiment in the boho blue, and I need a piece of the basic white, so I'm going to use this scrap here. Okay, that's going to go onto there. That's going to go on an angle on there. And this sentiment, now where did I put my sentiment inked up? Here we go. It's not inked up, it's just all mounted up. And this is from the same stamp set. Where have I put my stamp set? I've put it somewhere over here. So you've got some beautiful sentiments on here. So I'm looking at Have a Very Merry Christmas. So I'm just going to ink that up and stamp that straight as I possibly can. Now, let's work out where we're going to pop this. Now, I can make it. I can try cutting it out with something. Let's have a look. What dies have I got? Got some nice tag dies here. These are the ones I was using the other day. Let's have a look and see what there is in this that we can use. So we've got this handy. Don't think I want to use that because the hole for the string is going to interfere with my words. This one, is that going to be wide enough? Might be too big. It would be only just wide enough, but it might be slightly too big. We'll pop that to one side. All the others are really getting... Let's have a look at this one. Now that would be quite nice. Okay, a little oval. I'm just going to grab my little cut and emboss. Now those dies came from the Greetings of Season stamp set or bundle. So you've got all these wonderful greetings on here for Christmas. And it also came with the Greetings of Season dies. And I think these were all on the online exclusive. So you won't find this in the catalogue. It's from the online exclusives. And it's some really fantastic dies in there. So let's just run this through. There's that die, and there it is cut out there. Now, I do have a little bit of ribbon here. Now, this ribbon came in a pack of 2. It was in the pink and white combo. It's diagonal trim, which is in the annual catalogue. Now, I don't usually use a lot of ribbons, so I don't want this to be too... Not quite sure whether I want to use that or whether I'm going to use some white baker's twine. So what we might do is pop that to one side. I'm either going to use that or that. Let's just play with this a little bit. So let's pop this on. Use the lines on here, and I'm just popping it a little bit over to the left hand side. I didn't want it in the middle. And I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And I'm just popping my dimensionals in a little bit into the center because I'd like to be able to add those leaves and that underneath, so I don't want too close to the edge so it's going to interfere with what I'm wanting to add. So I'm going to pop those there. And then these little bits and pieces, I thought we could add all the way around this. Well, not all the way around, but just in some areas. Now let's just have a look, because I'm just going to take that out because I'm not quite sure how I want that to sit yet. I don't want these getting covered up, so maybe that might sit there and that there. That can actually go underneath there, like that. Okay, I'm going to pop baker's twine onto this. I'm just cutting this around about 25 centimetres in length, because what I want to do is put this through I'm going to pop this through like this. So I'm just going to tie that off in a little half knot. I'm going to tie a bow. I'm going to trim those down in a minute. So what I want to do is pop a little bit of glue on the back of this. Let's just take that out for the moment. Pop that in there. And eventually I'll put a glue dot or something underneath that. Now, I'm going to pop a little bit of glue here. Just going to lift that up while I still can. Slip that underneath there and grab one of these. Just trim those off to roughly the same length. And I'm just going to grab a glue dot. Just pop it underneath there. So that's, there's going to be a bow made and go on top of that. So let's pop some glue on this one. Pop that in there. Let's grab another one of these. Oops. Go there. Do we need one there? I think we might. Just going to take a bit of that length off that one, off the stem, and pop a little bit of glue on the back of that. And then let's grab this one here. Now with all the others, I pop this one here on top, and I'm just going to very carefully lift this, and I'm just going to pop him underneath. Just pull him out a little bit more. Oops. I'm just going to give that a bit of a press down. It hasn't really glued down really well because I was able to move that. But okay, let's have a look. Don't need that. Don't need that. Just need to tie a little bow. Just run my fingernail down that a few times because this baker's twine has been around the roll the tightest, and it is curling a little bit. Let's try that again. All I want to do is just add a little glue dot on the back of that. Just roll it up a little bit. Just add it to all of that. Sort of a little bit unbalanced. It's just worrying me a little bit, but I don't really want to add. Maybe I will just add that little bit in there. I'm going to tuck it right in because it's a little bit heavy sort of here at the moment. And normally I like to have odd numbers, but I just need to give this a little bit more weight. Just there, but just needed that little bit. I don't know whether it needs any of this in there, but it does. It'll only be a little bit. So let's just cut that off and have a look. Maybe just that little bit there. Okay, almost done. So what do we think so far? How's that looking? So, only other thing I was thinking we could add on here is, if I can find them, I'm just looking for the druzy. One thing I can't find, and I don't usually use these aren't the druzy, but they are very much similar to them. So I'm going to use these. And I just want to add the small ones. Now these are, and I'm not quite sure whether these are current or not, these are the sparkle gems. So I just want to add one in there. Where would I put one? 1, 2. Just want 3 of these and 1, 2. It needs to be. That one needs to move, I think. Let's see where else we can put him. I want to keep it in a triangle. And that was almost a straight line before. Maybe about there. Just making a visual triangle with that. Okay, so there's my card for the day. Maybe that part there may not be the greatest position, but anyway, that's what I've ended up with. So I hope you like that. So it's just keeping it quite soft and quite a delicate sort of card. Thanks, Deborah. I hope we do see you on Friday. So thank you very much for joining me today. And while I created this card, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the week. And if you can join us on Friday at 1 o'clock, that would be fantastic. So bye for now, and we'll see you then. Bye.